Hey, this is Idea Coach Eastron. We're on the weight classes for UFC 156. This is a review. I haven't done these things in a while now. When I review the events, I usually like to wait a day or two to let the fights kind of sink in. Pretty much when we talk about the main card, outside of Tyron Woodley and Jay Haran. Here's the thing about Jay Haran. I like the guy. I really do. I think he's a fantastic welterweight. I like the usual choice goes for the finish. He just has not been able to put it together in the UFC. I don't know why. This is what his second or third run inside the octagon, and he just can't get a winning record. Winning record. The thing is this. I'm happy that the UFC now has events like Fox and The Ultimate Fighter season finales and FX. He'll be pretty good on a prelim or a main card of one of those events. But putting him on a pay-per-view, I just don't think it's in the cards for him right now, or will it ever be considering his age. With the main card, the Benavidez versus Ian McCall. Ian McCall kind of pouted at the end of the fight when he lost. I felt that McCall only won the second round. I don't know. I mean, just because you're doing this shit. When they're going to the judges' decisions, you're doing this shit and you jump out and around, doesn't mean you've won. It doesn't mean that at all. I think that's someone trying to fool the audience. Like, oh, I have all this more energy. You may have a lot of energy, but did you do the necessary amount of damage to win a fight? I think not. Okay, so let's get into one fight that I thought that surprised the hell out of me. I think it surprised a lot of people, was the Demian Maia versus John Fitch fight. Now, this is a fight that I did a very, very short, brief preview, which I called John Fitch doing to Demian Maia what Demian Maia actually did to him. I never seen John Fitch taken down so easily right there, and I think that John Fitch worked on his takedowns and not his takedown defense, because I don't think it wasn't in his game plan that he was going to be like on his back or defending from a defending off of his back. I think he thought his jiu-jitsu defense would come to play when he was in Demian Maia's guard. Because I mean, it surprised me how quickly Demian Maia just took him down, like in the first couple of seconds. So I'm surprised that Demian Maia did not get the finish, especially in the first round. Where I really thought that there was a lot of times where I think just a minor adjustments. This is also a tribute to John Fitch's defense, where I think Demian could have put off the submission. One thing I've noticed, especially in round two, was when they were standing up for about a good minute, where Demian Maia's hands were completely down. And something about Demian Maia that kind of gets me is that his striking has went from below average to about a little slightly above average, back down even worse than it was before. When he first came to the UFC, he would just kind of throw hands just to grapple someone. And then the Mark Munoz fight, his hands are actually really crisp. Then after that, his hand game just went. There's one when he has his hands down completely. It wasn't like Anderson Silva where he's where he's taunting the other fighter to come in. No. It was like, I really don't know how to defend myself with my hands. Your hands are down to your waist. That's something he's really going to have to fucking work on if he's going to take on guys like Johnny Hendricks or the Carlos Condit, Roy McDonald loser, or even if he's face stun gun yet again. He's going to have to do something about those hands. His grappling, however, looked the best I've ever seen it. I did not think he was going to out John Fitch. So that's what I have to say about that. Another fight that I called wrong in my very short preview was the Alistair Overeem versus Bigfoot Silva. I think everyone, and this is including myself, thought Alistair Overeem was going to just take this fight maybe late in the first, middle of the second, and go on and fight for the title later on, fight sometime in the summer or something like that. I don't know what it is about his camp. I'm not talking about Alistair Overeem's camp, but he was standing right in front of Bigfoot the entire fight. Not only that, is that I've seen Alistair Overeem in K1. He uses that bully style with a lot of different fighters in K1, but in MMA he actually uses some footwork. I don't know what he was really thinking. At the end of the second round, Overeem really did look like a man worried. He was winning the fight up to that point, but he really did look like he did not know if he had enough gas in his tank to go that last 5 minutes, and apparently he did not, because Bigfoot pretty much, they say TKO. I felt that he knocked him out. It looked pretty bad. Now, this is another fight, the co-main event. Little Nogueira versus Rashad Evans. There was a lot of talk about Rashad Evans dropping down to 185 to challenge Anderson Silva for the middleweight belt. That was a lot. I mean, a lot of people have been asking for that for nearly a year. I mean, ever since he lost to John Jones, there's been a lot of talk about Rashad Evans going down. Even before John Jones was like as big as he is today, there are some rumblings about Rashad Evans going down to 185. This kills a lot of that momentum right now. And the thing is this, with Rashad Evans, there was something very strange about him this fight. He was, in my preview, and I've said this a couple of times in other previews, there's like two Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans, there's the first maybe 9 minutes of the fight where he's doing this, he's moving around, he's jumping up and down, he's jumping back and forth. Then there's Rashad Evans who's just looking for that big power punch. That usually comes later in the fight. This is the first time I saw Rashad Evans kind of find a middle ground to do those two different styles that he's shown in the octagon in his UFC career. Didn't work out for him. The thing is, I don't know if he was being distracted by Nogueira's punches, but you know, the jab that he was throwing, and Joe Rogan even mentioned this, you're just pairing all these different jabs. I'm surprised Little Nog didn't just fake a jab and then come over with the left. Maybe he didn't see the opportunity to do so. There's a lot of times Rashad Evans, the first 2 rounds, just throwing that strong right hand. He was throwing it, he wasn't landing it for some reason. He wasn't jumping in and jumping out like he usually does. Because Rashad Evans can cover a whole bunch of distance. He's a short dude, but he can be all over that octagon very, very quickly, especially early in the fight. One thing I did notice about Rashad Evans' stance when I was looking at this is that he was doing a lot of motion with his upper body. He was bobbing and weaving with his upper body, but there was a lot of times where like his feet were standing still. You know, his feet were standing still. You can get away with that, of course, in boxing, but in MMA, especially for Rashad Evans' style, you can't, you know, you have to move your legs a little bit. To me, he looked a little slow. He looked about 2 notches down to what he usually is. And, you know, everyone has an off day. So I think, I don't know what he's going to do next. I think he's about 2 more fights away before he goes to going down to 185 to make him look like a legitimate contender. He's only lost 3 fights. Only lost 3 fights his whole career. So he's still an elite fighter. One thing I do have to say is about this thing with the Black Zillions. And I don't know what it is, but do these guys come up with a game plan before a fight? They have so much talent. So much talent packed in that gym right there. I don't know what the hell they're doing with themselves. Are they just relying on their explosiveness and their past experiences to get them through fights? Because to me, the game plan of these guys is just so fucking terrible. And the only reason Vitor Belfort beat Michael Bisping, because even without the Black Zillions, just stylistically speaking, I like Michael Bisping, but that was a terrible matchup for him. Awful matchup for the count. So the thing is, like when we got Melvin, Rumble, Rashad Evans not looking like he used to look, Alistair Overeem, oh my God, man, it's just like, who the fuck told them to stand right in front of the goddamn opponent? It just upsets me because I know all these guys are just so much better than what they're showing right now. And I don't know if they're just feeding off each other's egos and stuff like that in their gym because, you know, the athleticism is there. The game planning is not. And that's, I think, the difference between Black House and Black Zillions. Because really, to me, Black Zillion should really be like the new shooter box of like 2005 or the BTT of like 2004, something like this. And they're just not. They just cannot put this stuff together for one reason or another. Off to the main event, Jose Aldo versus Frankie Edgar. Just like I predicted, Jose Aldo would win. There's a lot of talk about slowing down. Joe Rogan kept mentioning about this. We're like, oh yeah, we know Frankie Edgar slowing Jose Aldo down. Okay, this is true. Jose Aldo got tired by himself in round 3. He got tired by himself. It wasn't because Frankie Edgar did any damage to him before round 3. Breathing out the mouth in round 3. The thing is okay, just because you're slowing a fighter down if you yourself do not get faster or become faster than your opponent, and you're not doing significant damage, you have not won the round. And if that happens 3 out of 5 times, you have not won the fight. So the thing is this: there is no point in time where Frankie Edgar's was doing big damage to Jose Aldo. I'm surprised Jose didn't throw enough of those leg kicks, because about the 3 or 4 that he landed were pretty vicious, man. And there was one takedown defense that he did where Frankie Edgar just like landed on his face, just like threw him off. People talk about Frankie Edgar's movement around the octagon. I'm 210 pounds, and when I was boxing, I was down to about 185 a couple of years ago. I'm a bigger guy, okay? Frankie Edgar is a much smaller dude. They use their footwork a lot more. It's more about, boxing's all about speed, but of course in a lot of divisions, even to a higher level. I'm against all that moving around, and one thing I've noticed about him that he crosses his legs a lot. And it's not like when you'll see someone like Kung Le or Anderson Silva cross their legs, because when they cross their legs, they're going for like a spin move or some sort of like weird elusive movement to get out of the way of some of their opponent's striking. When Frankie Edgar crosses his legs, it's kind of like he's just moving around. He's really just moving around. I said it before, I'm saying it again. The reason he got cracked so many times in Gray Maynard fights is because he's walking directly into the power. He didn't do that this time with Jose Aldo. He kind of learned a little bit. He was making more and more side-to-side movement. Usually Frankie Edgar goes side-to-side and comes back and forth, in and out. So this time he learned his lesson, but at the same time, I think he's gotten better with his footwork and not moving around too much. I mean, like Clay Guida does that. I mean, the thing is when you're moving around that much, you're not planted enough to do enough damage. And I think sometimes, and especially like in the later parts of the fights, he didn't have to move around that much because he knew Jose Aldo was already tired, where he could have planted up and probably did a couple, at least two or three strong, significant hits in rounds 4 and 5, and that just never came to be. Okay, guys, so that's my win in the weight class for UFC 56. I'm going to be doing something special for Japanese MMA later on this week. Please check it out. It's leading up to the UFC's next Japan card. Take care.